So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. And we'll get back here, BSN Network. This is BSN Network podcast here today. It is Tuesday, January 19th. Everyone's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day. Yesterday, it is in fact Tuesday, January 19th. Hope everyone's having a good day so far. We got a lot of good sports news today. Fresh off of a Nets win last night, an insane game. I think that had to be one of the best basketball games I have seen this entire season, not only out of the Brooklyn Nets, but out of the entire NBA. Very exciting. Came down to literally the last shot. The Brooklyn Nets claim victory, get the win, 125-123 in a close nail-biter of a game. The Brooklyn Nets are now 2-0 with James Harden as a member of the team. He had another great game, broke an NBA record. First player in NBA history to have 30 points and at least 10 assists in first two games with his new team. Broke an NBA record. That's NBA history books right there. And Kevin Durant extends his streak to 10 straight games with at least 25 or more points. So the Brooklyn Nets are not only winning games, they are loading up the stat sheets, and they are looking good winning those games. They are no ugly wins. These have been very clean wins, good wins. We definitely have to clean up some things on the defensive side of the ball. But for the most part, we look like a complete and good basketball team right now. That's what we look like, and that's what we look like. So we look good right now, and I'm very excited about that because obviously with all the news about Harden and stuff, I came onto the podcast and said I was a little concerned about it, and I was a little worried about, things like that, and but so far the connection between them two have been working very, very good. And Kyrie Irving, we only add on tomorrow. Kyrie Irving, we just got actually news in just before I started the podcast that Kyrie Irving, not going to talk about it really in depth, but Kyrie Irving is going to play tomorrow, is expected to play tomorrow. So hold on, let me just get this up here. So with all that being said, sorry, I just had to get something up there. But anyways, so with all that being said, that is very good for the Brooklyn Nets. Sorry, I had to, my phone here, I just had to get one of the articles up. So that's what I got for the Brooklyn Nets there. Very exciting news for the Brooklyn Nets to get that in. We did just get news in before my podcast actually started. I'm not going to talk about today, but the New York Jets have officially made it officially. I mean, it was guaranteed, but it's kind of today was when they put pen to paper, and Robert Saleh put pen to paper today, has officially been named the New York Jets head coach. There was multiple statements from the owner, from Joe Douglas. He officially today made a statement, and it was a good statement, and so he officially put pen to paper today, and on Thursday, he is going to be doing his introductory press conference. So I'm still deciding on what I want to do with that, whether I want to I'm deciding on what I want to do with that, whether I'm going to talk about it after the podcast or after the interview and then post it, or if I want to do a preview and then talk about it Friday. Because here's the problem. It's on Thursday, so Friday's my NFL game pick, so I don't know if I want to talk about it. So I'm still kind of deciding on whether I want to do, I'm still kind of deciding on what I want to do in regards, in regards to the interview, whether I want to talk about it after, watch the interview, and then talk about it after, or if I want to do a preview, then maybe talk about it either on in a little bit of more detail, whatever the case may be. I'm going to kind of decide on what I want to do. But, so that's what I got there. But for the topics today, we got the Mets fire Jared Porter. Yes, the Mets have fired their GM, Jared Porter. This is the first time that there has been a firing. Steve Cohen, this is his first person that he has really fired. But the Mets did, in fact, fire Jared Porter. The big news coming in today about him, we will talk about that. He had some off-the-field issues, and he sent some texts that should not have been sent, and that resulted in a firing of him. So Jared Porter is out as the general manager of the New York Mets, so we'll get into that. We also got the Deshaun Watson rumors in the Jets. There's been a lot of rumors and a lot of buzz around Deshaun Watson possibly coming to the New York Jets, and I'm not trying to fanatize this at all, but it is the truth. There's been a lot of buzz. Adam Schefter and Rappaport have both tweeted out things Watson have said, things Watson has done, and Watson seems to be interested with the New York Jets. That's what he seems to be, interested with the New York Jets, so we'll see what happens there, but he does seem to want to come to the New York Jets. It's all around, people are starting to talk about it, there's some buzz, and I'm sure the Jets organization realizes that they could have a chance at getting Deshaun Watson. I want that to happen. Jets, make that happen. So we'll get into the Deshaun Watson rumors and the Jets, college basketball, Nets, NBA, Knicks, NHL, Rangers, Islanders, and fantasy. All that good stuff. Islanders won yesterday by a score of 1-0. And the Rangers played today against the Devils. That good old New York Rangers, New Jersey Devils rivalry. I hate the Devils. You know I don't like them. Go Rangers. They play tonight. We'll definitely be watching that game. No Nets tonight. Knicks, I think, do play tonight. But other than that, I will definitely be watching the Rangers tonight. Rangers home against the New Jersey Devils. That should be exciting. Hopefully the Rangers win there. And fantasy hockey, fantasy basketball, all that good stuff to finish out the podcast. So once again, we're in the prime of sports. Baseball's all season's heating up. We got a GM firing within New York sports. We're going to talk about it all. Sports are really heating up, people. NFL playoffs, MLB season right around the corner, NBA, NHL, and NBA in full swing, NHL just starting, and a lot of great sports to talk about. So with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So Mets general manager, Mets GM Jared Porter fired by Steve Cohen after explicit text from 2016 surface. So this story came out today, happened back in 2016 between Jared Porter and there's this woman who was covered. I'm not, the entire details of the story aren't quite out yet. But for the most part, they are. So what I'm hearing is first, actually, before I even really go into the story, I would like to say this about Jared Porter and the New York Mets, okay? First of all, if something like this would to go on in anything, whether it's in sports or not in sports, but we'll focus on sports here. Even I said this about, it kind of goes back to the Astros sign stealing thing. I don't think Alex Cora or AJ Hinch should ever be able to step on a baseball field again. Alex Cora obviously gets another job with the Red Sox. I don't think they should be able to ever walk inside of a baseball. They should never be able to walk inside of a baseball stadium again if you cheat. This is the same thing. A little different, not the same. I mean, Jared Porter didn't cheat, but it's a little bit of the same thing. Jared Porter should be banned from it. I mean, he did the wrong thing. He obviously had off-the-field issues, obviously wasn't fully 100% focused on his job, and this happens. So I would first off like to be the first to say that he should not be allowed to go back a GM job. What he did was not okay. What he did was obviously to the New York Mets not okay, and I would honestly think that the MLB and the commissioner's office, Rob Manfred, would definitely have to discipline him for this. I think with the story just coming out a little bit it's almost like each hour we get a little bit more information. It started off as they fired him, or it started off this morning that he sent some of these texts, things like that they're investigating. And then all of a sudden they fired him, and then it finds out when the texts were from, who they were towards, what he was texting, and now we're still trying to figure out, why it took so long for the woman that he was texting to come out and speak about it, and why these texts are taking this long to surface. People are still trying to figure that out, because you got to realize this happened back in 2016. It's 2021. That's like 5 years ago. So you're wondering why it took him 5 years to finally find these texts, and now all of a sudden he's getting fired. Like, if this happened in 2016, he should have been fired in 2016. But yeah, so the New York Mets, first of all, this isn't, and I don't want to sit here and say that this was a bad hire by the New York Mets. Obviously, he was here for about a month and a half, 2 months, and it didn't work out. But the Mets had no clue. I mean, the Mets had absolutely no clue this was going on. So I don't want to say, it's obviously is a bad hire now, but I don't want to sit here and say, oh, this is a terrible hire, this is all the Mets' fault. I mean, they had no clue. These text messages just surfaced today. But I will say it's not, I mean, I'm not trying to be a joke out of this, but it's kind of weird. The New York Mets' luck is so terrible when it comes to hirings of a coach, of a general manager, in this case, a general manager. We all knew what happened last season with the New York Mets, and we all knew what happened with Carlos Beltran and the New York Mets. Everyone's so pumped. The Mets get Carlos Beltran. Everyone's so excited. This, and this. Gets his introductory press conference. The Mets are rolling. Like, everyone's like, okay, we got Beltran. We got a good coach. And all of a sudden, the Astros sign-stealing scandal leaks out, and Beltran had something to do with it. And oh no, we have to fire Beltran now and get Luis Rojas. So I will tell you what. If I was the New York Mets, for their next hire, whether it's at the head coach position, GM, wherever it is, I would take a deep dive into this person's, really take a deep dive on what they've done. Take a deep dive. Because obviously, the past two big hires, your head coach and your new GM, have not worked out. And if I was the New York Mets, if I was Steve Cohen, your next GM you hire better be better. Because I know that doesn't make sense. But if you get what I'm talking about, they should not have any background history. They should be their background history should be perfectly fine. They should have no problems off the field. You better hire the right guy next time. Because if this keeps happening, this isn't good for the New York Mets. And the Mets now, and this isn't completely the Mets' fault. I mean, there's some of it to the extent, like, you know, I mean, you can't even, I mean, this is just unlucky for the New York Mets. I mean, you obviously hired the wrong guy, but, I mean, the Mets had no clue. This just surfaced today. So, you know, the New York Mets didn't have any clue. But what I will say is the New York Mets now are in a very interesting position. Because they're in a very interesting position. Because there's not many GMs out there right now that are available that the Mets can come in and pick up. There are not. I mean, it's the prime of the MLB offseason. Trades, free agency, signings, re-signings, they're starting to happen. And we knew this was coming. I said this in December. January is going to be the time where you're going to see a lot of these big free agents off the board. You're going to see guys like DJ LeMahieu going to get signed. You're going to see guys like Lindor. You're going to see guys like Bauer and Springer. They haven't gotten signed left. Springer's probably going to get signed, I would assume, in the next couple of days. The Blue Jays are really starting to heat up with Springer. It really seems like the Blue Jays are the finalists. But this does hurt the Mets in multiple ways. Because now the Mets have to handle this. Now the Mets have to try to find the GM, all while trying to find the best parts for their team. So I'll tell you what. Jared Porter didn't even watch one game and wasn't even the GM as one game with the New York Mets, and he's already completely destroyed this. Because now Steve Cohen and Sandy Alderson and guys like this on this team now have to all of a sudden focus on, oh, hold on a second. Now all of a sudden we got to focus on getting this guy, getting this new GM, while you also still have to focus on getting some players. So the Mets are in a terrible position right now. I'd like to first off say that. And this is not the Mets' fault. They did nothing wrong. They hired a GM. They thought he was the right guy for the job. Sure enough, text message surfaced, and there goes his run with the New York Mets. And it was a very short run. And if I'm the Mets right now, I would say it's going to be tough. I mean, I don't know if the Mets go through the season with their GM spot vacant. If they do Alderson and just let, kind of, in a way, Cohen take over as the GM. No, I mean, kind of already was, but, what do you do here? This is big. I mean, the Mets have gone through almost two GMs now in the past couple months, because they fired Van Wagenen, and they obviously fired Van Wagenen, and they fired Van Wagenen, and they fired now Porter. So the Mets have been through two GMs in the past couple months, and the 2021 season hasn't even started. So New York Mets right now are in a very tough position. And I feel bad for Mets fans. I mean, I don't feel bad for them, but this Mets team, everything they do, it just seems like completely just goes wrong. If you get what I'm saying. And I'm not trying to blame the Mets. The Mets, Steve Cohen, this was not his fault. He hired the guy that he thought was right for the job. He had no clue about these text messages, right? He had no clue. But everything the Mets try to do always backfires. They hired Beltran, backfired. They hired Van Wagenen and thought he was going to be good, backfired. They hire this guy, backfires, right? Everything they do, it just goes completely south. They let Matt Harvey, this is going back to the World Series, but they let Matt Harvey go back in for another inning, backfires. Everything the New York Mets do, it's almost like everything they touch just turns into a negative. Everything the Mets do is just terrible. Is just absolutely terrible. Everything they do just turns into dust. It's just not even there. It's so weird. It's so weird. And the New York Mets, man, they gotta find a way. They gotta find a way to find a new GM quickly. Because I'll tell you what, with all this going on now, between the New York Mets and their GM spot now, all of a sudden players might realize, I don't know if this is the best place to go because they don't even got a GM. Can I trust this here? What can I do? So this is really interesting to see here. This is really going to be interesting to see what happens here with the Mets. And if I was Jared Porter, and I was, the Mets right now, I would definitely, and this is smart by Steve Cohen, to move on from him. And if I'm Jared Porter, I would feel I would not feel good right now. I think you should feel ashamed of yourself because of what you did, and you pretty much almost just ruined your career by that. And like I said, I don't want to get into the complete logistics because there was some really bad stuff. I mean, it was almost, you could say, harassment is what the word I'm hearing a lot from some of the top MLB insiders out there. But this stuff is beyond baseball, and I'm not going to get into the off the field part of it. I kind of want to just focus on the Mets stuff. But definitely, the Mets now have created them or are in a tricky position because you got to pursue some of these players, but you also got to try to find a GM now. And I don't know if there's going to be an interim GM or something like that involved. There might be. Or you just go throughout the season without one, and Steve Cohen makes the baseball decisions. It's going to be interesting. But let's read this quick article here, and then I want to read the statement from the New York Mets. The Mets have also sent out a statement, and Steve Cohen. So, yeah. So, Mets GM Jared Porter fired by Steve Cohen after explicit text from 2016 surfaced. And and I got to admit, credit where credit's due by Steve Cohen. He went right ahead. It was actually kind of crazy. When this happened, this happened this morning, got the update notification. I didn't really think much of it. I was like, okay, he has some problems and stuff. And then half an hour later, fired. So Steve Cohen did not take his time. He did not wait. He did not even, Jared Porter kind of gave himself up. He said yesterday or a couple days ago, he said these texts were true. But you never know. In the heat of the moment, now all of a sudden that he's calmed down, he might all of a sudden try to backtrack his words, but it will be interesting. So New York Mets owner Steve Cohen announced the firing of general manager Jared Porter on Tuesday after Porter admitted to sending explicit text to a report in 2016. Cohen and the team president Sandy Alderson released the following statements regarding Porter's termination on Twitter. So this is straight from Steve Cohen's Twitter account, so this is no fake stuff. This is straight from his Twitter account. This is what Steve Cohen said. We have terminated Jared Porter this morning. In my initial press conference, I spoke about the importance of integrity, and I meant it. There should be zero tolerance for this type of behavior. That's why I say, Steve Cohen, he's living up to his word right now, and got to give credit where credit's due there. Obviously, the hire did not work out. And then John Heyman also tweeted this out about the statement from Mets president Sandy Alderson. The New York Mets have terminated general manager Jared Porter effective immediately. Jared's actions, as reflected by events disclosed last night, failed to meet the Mets standards for professionalism and personnel conduct. Porter, who was hired by the Mets last month, admitted Monday night that he sent inappropriate text message to a reporter while he was a part of the Chicago Cubs front office in 2016, including a photo of per ESPN's Mina Kimes and Jeff Passan. So he did not, including a inappropriate photo, they said. With regard to the photos he sent, Porter said the more explicit ones are not of me. Those are like kind of the joke stock images. I'm not too sure what that means. Keems and Passon obtained the text history between Porter and the woman, and while it initially showed friendly communication between them, Porter eventually began sending selfies and asking if she had a boyfriend. So it got really messed up. From July 19th through August 10th, 2016, Porter sent 62 consecutive unanswered text messages to the reporter. Among the texts were multiple photos of among the tests were multiple inappropriate photos. Anderson addressed Alderson addressed Porter's misconduct Monday, saying, I have spoken directly with Jared Porter regarding events that took place in 2016, of which we were made aware tonight for the first time. Jared has acknowledged to me his serious error in judgment, has taken responsibility for his conduct, has expressed remorse and previously apologized for his actions. The Mets take these matters seriously, expect professionalism and ethical behavior from all of our employees, and certainly do not condone the conduct described in your story. We will follow up as a review in facts regarding this serious issue. Porter, 41, broke into the big leagues as an intern with the Boston Red Sox in 2004 and eventually became the organization's director of professional scouting in 2012. Boston won 3 World Series titles during his tenure with the franchise. He moved on to the Cubs as a director of professional scouting and special assistants in 2016, which was the same year Chicago won its first World Series title in 108 years. From 2017 until his hiring by the Mets, Porter served as the Arizona Diamondbacks senior vice president and assistant general manager. Cohen, who officially bought the Mets in October, hired Porter after firing previous GM Brodie Van Wagenen shortly after the purchase of the team. It marks the second consecutive year the Mets parted ways with a key member of the organization shortly after hiring. Last year, Carlos Beltran was removed as manager before ever overseeing one game because of his involvement in the Houston Astros 2017 sign-stealing scandal. I said that earlier. And with Porter now out of the picture, Alderson figures to take on an even bigger role in personnel decisions, as he was the Mets GM in 2010 to 2018. So, yeah, and the statement from the New York Mets, I'm not sure I think they might have been in that article, but I kind of just want to read it one more time. So, statement from Mets President Sandy Alderson. The New York Mets have terminated General Manager Jared Porter effective immediately. Yeah, you already said that. So, that was kind of just the stuff. So, yeah. So, it's pretty good. A lot of people, I'm not sure. I'm hearing a lot of Mets fans are kind of happy about this decision. I don't know if they're so much like at the fact that they're happy about it or what. But a lot of people, I mean, maybe people just didn't like him. But yeah, it's really big for the New York Mets now, and now they got to find a way to get a new GM or Sandy Alderson takes over and does something else. So yeah, so that was kind of that. Let's see. That was kind of that there. And was there any more? No, there was no more on that. But yeah, so this is more than likely it for Jared Porter. I mean, they said how he did not send some good stuff, obviously. You just wonder, because a lot of times people will keep this stuff undercover and they'll keep it disclosed. But you just wonder why all of a sudden now he came out and said the stuff that he did. Why all of a sudden now? But, maybe he felt that, I mean, who knows? I mean, I could be brainstorming completely different things. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, he just got the GM job for the New York Mets. I don't know why all of a sudden now he would release this. Maybe he just felt like he just can't hold it in any longer, because obviously he knew he was doing this and he kept it quiet. So maybe he just felt he couldn't hold this in any longer, or maybe he felt that it was best for him to just do this, or I don't know what the case may be. But I'll tell you what, I don't foresee him. I think a lot of teams would say this. I don't think he will probably be with a team for a very long time. And if he ever comes back, it's going to be as like an assistant to an assistant to an assistant to an assistant to an assistant. It's not going to be anywhere near the GM job or anywhere near a high-level vice president or president of baseball operations, something like that. It's not going to be anywhere there. If anything, it's going to be getting coffee for the general manager. It's going to be one of those jobs. I don't foresee him getting a big-name job anytime soon and maybe ever. And this is really interesting. And I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure there'll be some more information on this. But, now the Mets, all of a sudden now, I could see here if there's any more news on it, possibly the Mets coaching or the Mets GM search here. It's just, one of these things. So, yes, this is one of the things, too, here is the Mets took swift and appropriate action on Porter as soon as they were made aware of his past history of harassment while employed by another team. The question becomes, how much more did he do to his previous employees keep covered up? That's the truth, though. He might have did even more stuff than a lot of people wonder. So, but yeah, and it's gonna be it's gonna be really interesting. It's really, 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 really interesting to see what happens here. Like I said, this isn't surprising. This isn't surprising to me. When I heard this news this morning, like I said, I didn't really think much of it because I kind of heard about it and I was like, I was, okay, he did it. And then when I heard he was fired, I was like, okay, it's not really surprising. When you find this stuff out, it's not going to be surprising. But I personally now, is Sandy Alderson going to take over or what's going to happen now? That is my personal question now. What's going to happen with the Mets GM? It did say here in this last sentence, with Porter now out of the picture, Alderson figures to take on an even bigger role in personnel decisions as he was the Mets GM from 2010 to 2018. So is he just going to go back to GM and they'll put him there until they can find one? Because like I said this earlier on my podcast, and I'll always talk to people about sports and stuff off the air. But I was even talking to somebody right before I came on here. You wonder now, 90% of these teams, obviously not the Mets, have their GMs. You're in the prime of the offseason. So all the big names GMs, all these big guys, all the top tier GMs are going to be on teams now. So maybe they do just go with Alderson and let that run for the season, and next season they start over and see what happens with the next. See what happens with the next GM. Because I'll tell you what, you're in the prime of the offseason, and this hurts the Mets. This really does. And if only the Mets knew this, could have helped them out, but the Mets didn't. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. But that's another thing, too. Steve Cohen said, we have terminated Jared Porter this morning. In my initial press conference, I spoke about the importance of integrity, and I meant it. There should be zero tolerance for this type of behavior. And that's one of the big things I think there, too, is Steve Cohen, he's living up to his word so far. I know there's a lot of coaches out there who will be out there, any coach could say, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this, and they only do that, or maybe that. So, but yeah, it's going to be really interesting. So, yeah, it's just one of these things. This always happens to the Mets. It always does. And I know there's a lot of Mets fans out there today that are kind of happy. I don't know what the overall reaction was when they hired him. I know a lot of people wanted some of these more top guys. But I know the Mets, they just seem, everything they do just goes haywire. Everything they do. They're riding smoothly up. They get this guy off, the train gets off the tracks. Everything they do just goes completely left. They shank everything wide right. They don't do, and this isn't, and I know I'm going to get to the next topic soon. But this isn't completely to the point where, where I'm saying that this is their fault. This isn't their fault. They had no clue when they hired him. This just got released today. And like I said before, I think more might even get more released. But the fact that this always happens in the New York Mets. It just stinks because this always happens. This always seems to happen with the New York Mets, where they hire someone, Beltran in that case. You think you got the right guy, Houston sign stealing scandal, out of here. Van Wagenen, you think you have the right guy, he stinks, out of here. Not there was no background history with him, he just stinks. You think you have the right guy in Porter, he had success. He obviously was there with the Red Sox with the World Series, was there with the Cubs during the World Series, had good success with the Diamondbacks, made the playoffs a couple times. Like, okay, we finally have the right guy, and that just goes right. And now you're sitting here, no GM, in the middle of a hot offseason with a lot of hot names, trying to get some of these big names, and now you also got to focus on your GM vacancy. So the New York Mets right now are not in a good position. And if they make a signing tomorrow, I'm wrong. Obviously, they're doing perfectly fine. But at this current moment, I think the Mets are going to go a little bit low now. Because then they got to try to find a new GM, and they got to try to find who's going to fill in that hole. Because that's now 2 GMs in the matter of 3 months. So that is not good. So with all that being said, that will do it for the Mets GM and Jared Porter. Coming up next, Deshaun Watson rumors. There was a post that was someone posted something. I don't have Instagram. I just heard this. But someone posted something on a social media app about Jets trying to get Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson liked the post. Multiple rumors say he wants to come to the Jets. I'll tell you why this would be a great deal coming up next. Alrighty, so let's see this here. Let's do this. Alrighty, so let's get this up here. So this is a lot of great news for the New York Jets. So first of all, the New York Jets obviously got Robert Saleh today, and also, so let's first off, so also they got obviously they got Robert Saleh. So I first off want to read this. This is from NY Jets head coach Robert Saleh. He said, to Jets fans, your passion and commitment are priceless. I understand your expectations and embrace them. We have a lot of work to do and can't do it without your support. Thank you for your warm welcome, and please stay safe and healthy. So that's what he said. And this is what Robert Saleh said today. So I'll first off read this, and then I'll get into the Deshaun Watson stuff, because I kind of want to talk a little bit about the Deshaun Watson stuff and how Saleh could have something to do with it. So it's an honor to be head coach of the New York Jets. To Christopher Johnson, thank you for this opportunity. It is one I've worked extremely hard for and will give everything I have to it. Throughout the interview process, it became clear that this was the right place to call home. The passion Christopher Johnson, Joe Douglas, and Jaime Elhai have for this team is evident, and I look forward to partnering with them to bring us where we want to be. You never travel these roads, and you never travel these roads alone, and there are so many that have helped along the way. But without my wife Sana, this journey would have been impossible. Thank you for everything. We've had 6 amazing children with one on the way, and now we are all proud to be a part of the Jets Nation. There are no shortcuts to success, and I'm committed to working with Joe and to build this team the right way, with talented players that play fast and smart, and staff that supports and helps develop them through it all. To Jets fans, your passion and commitment are priceless. I understand your expectations and embrace them. We have a lot of work to do and can't do it without your support. Thank you for your warm welcome, and please stay safe and healthy. So the Jets coach Robert Saleh will be officially introduced on Thursday. So that's what he said, and it's going to be an exciting time to be a Jets fan right now. It is a very exciting time to be a Jets fan. And the reason I say this is because, first of all, you're getting in what I think is one of the best coaches out there that was on the market. And second of all, you're getting a coach that is not going to mess around, a coach that is going to be disciplined in the locker room, and you're going to be getting a coach that that is going to do everything he can in his power to win, and that's what you're getting. That is what you are getting in a coach like like Robert Saleh. You're getting an exciting coach. You're getting an energized coach, and I know there's a lot of people out there who, would say that his energy sometimes is a little too far. It is football, but that's what I love about him. His energy is so high that you could just tell he loves the game and he loves to coach, a lot of those guys, and that's one of the big things, I think. And that kind of correlates into my next thing here with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, quarterback's marketing agent, likes Instagram post linking quarterback to Jets trade. Boy, oh boy. I would first off like to say, if this trade would to happen for the New York Jets, and we get a receiver or two, I would say that I think playoffs would definitely be a possibility. Okay, now, I don't want to get too happy. I don't want to get too overly exciting. I don't want to get to the point where I'm so excited and it's not even official yet. I don't want to do that. But what I would like to say is the fact that Deshaun Watson, it seems like it is a very likely chance that he is not going to be playing in Houston next season. So he's not going to be playing with the Texans. Now, that is a guarantee. He wants out. Texans are trying to get in contact with him. He just wants out. He's done. He's out. Done. He's still a member, but to him, he's not a member of the team. So, with that being said, he's going to be playing in another uniform next season. What uniform is that? I don't know. Some possibilities are, I've heard the Jets. I've heard most of the Jets. And I'm not saying that just because I'm a Jets fan. Schefter, Rappaport, Costello, some of these top Jets insiders and some of these top NFL insiders, Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter are probably the top NFL insiders, have said the Jets have the best package for a trade for Deshaun Watson. We do have some of the most picks, and we have some of the most cap space. So we could free up some of that cap space, bring him in, give him more money than some of these other teams would want. Now, do I personally think that that's all Deshaun Watson wants is the money? No, I don't think so. Because it's not really the money aspect. He wants out because they're not getting the coach he wants, and they're not building around him the proper way. They traded him last season, or they traded his best asset, his best guy last season for a older running back, and that didn't help him out. He still had a good year, but it still didn't help him out. They traded away what I think is one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver in the NFL, for an old running back in David Johnson in return. And that, I think, right there for Watson hurt him. Like, that right there. Like, you're going to trade away my top guy for that? Really? Like, you're going to do that? And I'll tell you what. If I'm Deshaun Watson, and if I'm Deshaun Watson, if I'm the Jets and I hear that if this is true, if I'm really the Jets and I hear that Watson really, really, really wants, to be a member of the New York Jets, make this deal happen. Make it happen. Get it done. Don't wait. Don't wait. If he wants to be a member of the New York Jets, get it done now. Now, are you going to have to give up a lot? Probably. Yeah, but I would give up a first rounder or two and Darnold for one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I would do that. What you're getting in Deshaun Watson is a powerful arm, a great accuracy, and one of the better mobile and running quarterbacks in the NFL. This guy can do it all. And you've heard me talk very highly about a lot of quarterbacks. I am very high in a lot of quarterbacks out there. I think Allen's very good. I think Murray's very good. I think Mahomes is very good. I think Watson's very good. I think Rodgers has had an excellent year. And I'm very high in quarterbacks. I'm iffy. There's some quarterbacks. I think I'm pretty picky with my quarterbacks, though. I think I am. I think there's definitely some quarterbacks out there that I might rate a little harder. I'm definitely hard on some of the quarterbacks. There's always that big question of age and stuff. Like, I don't think Brady's really a top 10 anymore. That might just be because I'm not a big Brady fan. So it might just be I don't like him at all. But what I see out of Watson, I've seen this guy play a ton of times. We've all seen Watson play millions and millions of times. That's an exaggeration, but we've seen him play a ton of times. He's been a member. And actually, originally, I wanted the Jets to draft Deshaun Watson. Originally. I don't know if I've ever told you this. We'll get into this quick article. I have like 2 articles to read. One's really short, just a couple of sentences, and the other one's pretty longer. The draft that we drafted Jamal Adams was the same draft Watson was in. And I actually wanted Deshaun Watson, and I didn't want Jamal Adams. I was originally, when the Jets made that pick for Jamal Adams, I originally, as crazy as it may sound, because I really like Jamal Adams now, even though he's not even on the Jets anymore, as crazy as it may sound, the New York Jets still, as crazy as it may sound, I did not like the pick. I started to like the pick, because a lot of people still started to like the pick and stuff. I started to like the pick after, he got introduced, people started to talk about him. You started to look at what he was doing. I was like, okay, I think we might have something here. And obviously, I love the pick because of what he did with his team. I originally wanted Watson. So it'd be kind of funny. For a guy who was supposed to get drafted by the Jets and get drafted by the Texans, still might, out of all of this that happened, still might end up with the New York Jets. And I'll tell you what, if I'm Douglas right now, you got to make this deal happen. Now, is this deal going to happen today? I don't think so. If anything, it's going to happen in a couple after the season ends, where you can really start to negotiate and stuff. But I tell you what, it's going to be more. I think it's going to be, now that they fired Bill O'Brien, obviously, I think it's going to be more harder for the Jets to make this deal, just because you're going to have a smarter GM, and GM and the coach was Bill O'Brien, but you have a smarter GM in there now. But I'll tell you what, if I'm the New York Jets and he really wants this, now I don't know if this is just trying to create drama, trying to create people like me that want him on this team. I don't know if it's just creating people like me that are trying to hype people up, because I'm very excited. When I see this and when I see some of the rumors that he wants to come here, I'm so excited. I want him here. And, yeah, so Deshaun Watson's quarterback marketing agent likes Instagram post linking quarterback to Jets trade. At least someone connected to the Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson is intrigued by the idea of him throwing passes for the New York Jets. Watson might be as well. Brian Burney, who is Watson's marketing agent, liked an Instagram post showing a New York Post cover story suggesting the Jets should trade for the quarterback. As if it wasn't interesting enough, Watson also liked the post. Whether Houston trades a 3-time Pro Bowler will arguably be the biggest storyline of the entire offseason. Landing someone like Watson would also be quite the start for Robert Saleh as the new coach of the Jets. On Sunday, ESPN's Adam Schefter reported many people within and around Texans think Watson's time with the team is over. And we all know that. I said this earlier on in the podcast, we all know that. Watson's time with the Houston Texans is done. He doesn't want to be there. He wants to be on another team. Why? They've kind of destroyed the team around him. They had a solid base there. They were making the playoffs. They were winning games, and they destroyed it. And it's almost like they just left him out there. And now they're not interviewing any of his coaches. They did not get the proper GM and that stuff. I don't think it's all about the money. I know many might think it is. I don't think it is, because I don't know if he'll get that much more money with us. I mean, it's going to be a trade, so it's not like he's a free agent. He's going to be in a trade, so he's going to get the same amount of money. But it'll be interesting. Tell you what, if the Jets get him and we get a receiver or two, we're in a very good position to be a solid team next season. And I think we already are now, just with the hiring of Robert Saleh. He makes this organization and team that much better. And with Watson would be amazing. I would so much say right now, although nothing's confirmed and nothing's quite, right, nothing's quite confirmed, I would so much say now that there's definitely, I think, a good shot that Watson is a member of the New York Jets. I think, if this continues, and like I said, this is rumors, so this isn't for sure, but the way it's going, it's going as it looks like the Jets would right now would be the front runners, but it could very well change as well. So we'll see what happens though. But yeah, and like I said, the New York Jets, obviously getting, obviously him getting, wanting out of Houston, him getting to the Jets, and obviously the Jets getting Saleh, it might create might create some good storylines there. But yeah, hopefully the Jets do capitalize on this. I mean, if this is true and he really wants to come to the Jets got to take advantage of this. The Jets got to realize, you're wanting a top 5 quarterback right now, wanting to come to your team. Take advantage of that. Get him. So yeah, so that's what I got for Deshaun Watson rumors. Now I move on to some of the other stuff here. College basketball, we got some good stuff on today. Yesterday, Baylor won, Florida State won, and St. John's won. Today we got Ohio State, Purdue give Ohio State the win. Michigan, Maryland give Michigan the win. Missouri, South Carolina give Missouri the win. Tennessee, Florida give Tennessee the win. Penn State, Illinois give Illinois the win. Alabama, LSU give Alabama the win. Duke, Pittsburgh give Duke the win. And Villanova, Seton Hall give Villanova the win. And as for the NBA, yesterday the Warriors won, Heat won, Bulls won, Raptors won, Grizzlies won, Suns won, or Spurs won, Hawks won, and the Knicks won. So the Nets also won yesterday, 125-123. We moved to 9-6 on the season. Harden played 41 minutes, 34 points, 6 rebounds, 12 assists. Let's see here. DeAndre Jordan had played 38 minutes, 12 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists, so he definitely had his best game of the season right there. Jeff Green played 37 minutes, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist. Joe Harris, 37 minutes, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist. And Kevin Durant, 36 minutes, 30 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. So the Nets got the win there. And today we got the Jazz Pelicans give Jazz the win, and Nuggets Thunder give Nuggets the win. And the Knicks lost yesterday as well. So the Knicks lost yesterday. But, yeah. So they lost yesterday as well. But the Nets got the win. And that's big. So, so now I move on to the NHL. Yesterday, Golden Knights won, Ducks won, Canadians won, Flames won, Blues won, Hurricanes won, Sabres won, Maple Leafs won, Islanders won, and Blue Jackets won. And today's game, we got the Blackhawks, Panthers give Panthers the win. Capitals, Penguins give Penguins the win. Jets, Senators give Jets the win. Sabres actually give Senators the win there. Flyers, Sabres give Flyers the win. Blue Jackets, Red Wings give Blue Jackets the win. Hurricanes, Predators give Predators the win. And that game got postponed. Yeah, that game did go postponed. That was the game. And Avalanche, Kings give Avalanche the win. And then the Rangers also play today. The Rangers come in this game 1-1. The Devils come into this game 1-0-1. They've won overtime loss there. So the Rangers come in this game 1-1. The over-under is set at 5.5 for this game. This game's on at today, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on MSG. So I am definitely going to watch this. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on MSG. The New York Rangers, New Jersey Devils, the battle, the rivals. Go New York Rangers. I give the Rangers the win. And the reason I do is I love their performance on Friday. Friday or Saturday? Saturday. They really dominated. And I love their performance. And I really thought they played well as a team. They played really good. And I really, really liked the way Alexander Georgiev played. And he's obviously had major success against the Islanders. Continue that success. He's getting another game in the goal tonight. Second straight game in goal. So we'll try to move to 2-1. And I think we have a good shot as well. And the Devils are a young rebuilding team as well. So 2 young and rebuilding teams here. But I give the Rangers the win here. I'll give them the win 3-2. Give them the win 3-2. Take the under on the over-under of 5.5. And I give the Rangers the win. And, yeah. So, yeah. Alrighty. So, that should be exciting. The Islanders game yesterday was kind of funny because it was a 1-0 game. It was 0-0 the entire game, and it was like 1-0 final score. So, yeah, but the Rangers looking pretty good there. But, yeah, for fantasy basketball, I'm winning 314 to 135. Today I've got no one going. Literally no one going. Jimmy Butler's still out. Butler COVID-19 protocols remain out for Monday's game against the Pistons. That was yesterday. Anthony Chiang of Miami Herald reports. Kyrie Irving as well. He was out. Irving conditioning is expected to play Wednesday against the Cavaliers. Ian Begley of Sportsnet New York reports. Jonas Valanciunas, he's also out. Valanciunas is in the league's health and safety protocols and won't play Monday against the Spurs. That was yesterday there. Miles Turner's also out. Turner was diagnosed Tuesday with a slight fracture in his right hand. Shams Charania of The Athletic reports he'll be reevaluated in the coming days before the Pacers update his timeline for his return. And Kemba Walker's also out. The Boston medical staff said Walker is fine after he took a hit to the ribs Sunday's game against the Knicks, but he won't return to the contest since he was already on the minutes limit, since he already reached the limit. Abby Chin of BSN Sports Boston reports. So that was already reported there. But yeah, so my team's injured. I got no one playing tonight. There's only 2 NBA games on today, so I got no one playing. So that's fantasy basketball. And as for fantasy hockey, I've made a couple moves. So my one move was yesterday I made it. I dropped Evgeny Malkin and I picked up Anders Lee, and I dropped Frederick Anderson and picked up Semyon Varlamov. So the goalie and a forward. So I made those 2 moves. I'm currently winning in fantasy hockey 31-10. So team off to a really good start. And this is how I'm going today's game to sell all the players I got. I got Mika Zibanejad, Jack Eichel, Artemi Panarin, Ansez Kopitar, Chris Letang, Duncan Keith, and Nicholas Backstrom forward. I have him at the utility, but I just have him there. And yeah, that's how it's going there. So, team's looking good. Really feel like, Panarin's going to have a good game. And yeah, that's kind of the deal there. But yeah, that's kind of what I got for the podcast there as well. And yeah, that's what I got for the podcast here today. So yeah, so with all that being said, that will do it for the podcast today. A lot of good sports news. Tomorrow, I think I already know what I might talk about. I might talk about Jared Goff. There's a lot of stuff steaming over there in Los Angeles as well with Jared Goff. So I might talk about that. And then what else? What else should I talk about? That's probably it. Jared Goff and then any other news or stuff like that. But yeah. So with all that being said, that will do it for the podcast today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.